Well, I don't think we could ask for a more distinguished and knowledgeable panel to address this topic. The first area that I'd really like to dig into is this question of what's involved in really building a 5-star mobile app strategy. And to kick things off, there's a lot of buzz and people talking in the industry today about, well, you got to be mobile first. And what I'd like to kick out to you guys is, what does that really mean, in your experience, to be mobile first, and how does it relate to the brand strategy and the overall software strategy of the enterprise?
Well, I'll start. So, effectively, in today's world, we can call it the digital world, we can call it the software-powered world. Essentially, mobile is extremely important. Mobile changes the way you engage with your customers. You engage with your employees to kind of help them kind of stay productive and remain productive. It's also essential, mobile is an essential element in delivering the right experience to your customers. Technology is becoming more intimate, and mobile is kind of driving that. Even in my kind of home life, I sleep with my smartphone by the side of my bed. The first thing I do in the morning, I roll over and I check my mobile phone, my smartphone, see what's going on overnight. But let me kind of take that one step kind of back as well. It's important not to lose sight of the end user, of the customer, of the employee. It's not just mobile for mobile's sake. Mobile is all about enhancing experience, solidifying kind of engagement and the kind of relationship. So the first thing which you need to kind of look at is to take this emphasis of being customer first, understanding your customers' pain points before kind of diving into your kind of mobile strategy.
Yeah, and the most important thing for your brand is to be engaged with your users. The more touch points that you can have with your user, and the more that you can associate the intimacy that they have with their phone with your brand on their phone, that is what creates that solidified customer experience that's going to keep them coming back, keep them satisfied, recommending you to friends, giving you those ratings in the public view, that's going to then encourage other users to come on board and have the same experiences.
Yeah. Now, KALYAN, I think you were telling me earlier about an actual use case that you just recently went through that illustrates these points.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, mobile is all about identifying a user need, understanding the user's context, and then looking at the environment around the user so that you can meet that need in the most optimal possible way. So I had to recently deposit a check. In the past, I would have taken this check to an ATM or to a bank teller, and I would have deposited the check. But the world has changed now. I picked out my smartphone, an iPhone or an Android device. I, take the picture of the check, the front and the back of the check, and I'm done with depositing that check. So what happened here was that the banking application, clearly understood the user need. Here is a user who needs to deposit a check, and they had a great widget, a great solution to deposit that check. The second thing that the bank did very well, and this app did very well, is to understand the context. I could, press my fingerprint, and I got authenticated to the bank and the banking app. They knew right away that I deposited my checks to my savings account instead of my checking account. So the user context was baked into this process itself. And then finally, the app and the device knew the environment around the user, which made this process all the more better. I could authenticate into the banking application quickly. The camera took the pictures, and it also imprinted my location so that there is an added security capability that is built into this check deposit process. So it's the combination of the user need, understanding the user need, putting the right context in place, and then also using the environment and the sensors around the mobile app and the device that made this such a wow experience for me.
Yeah. And just to kind of add to that, if you take that, what KALYAN's talking about, the idea of context, and context is really important to a great kind of mobile app. But what you need to also understand is that mobile changes, as we've said before, this kind of engagement kind of journey. So it changes the customer journey with your organization. And there's different ways of looking at this, and kind of one of the best ways I kind of look at this is to look at what's called the customer life cycle. So there's various stages of a journey which a customer will go on when engaging with your organization. And mobile actually changes each one of those stages. So let me give you kind of an example here. We talk about the customer life cycle, there's different stages. So immediately, your customer needs to have a need, a want. So they'll have a need or want. They'll then look to discover your organization. Mobile changes that discovery process. It's not just about walking into a store now. They're going to go to a mobile app store. They're going to download your mobile applications, so whether that's Google Play, whether that's on the Apple kind of app store. They're then going to use your applications. They're going to go through a discovery process, and at that stage, performance is kind of key. They need to be able to download it. Usability is also key. Hopefully then, they're going to choose your application. If you don't have performance there, they're not going to even choose your application. Then they're going to use that application even, continued use. And then they're going to kind of engage more. Hopefully they're going to leave kind of that positive 5-star review of your application. And then they're going to kind of help you maintain the reputation of that application, to kind of promote that application to maybe friends, maybe family, maybe their colleagues, maybe within the enterprise as well. It's not just the external model. Within the enterprise, you want your employees to be promoting great mobile apps, because then it's all about productivity. So just to summarize, it is about understanding that customer kind of journey, that user journey, and making sure that your mobile app is enhancing every single stage there.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me that, again, sort of harping back also to our first point, is that just because people are thinking mobile first, mobile is not in and of itself a separate entity. It really has to be integrated into your overall enterprise strategy. And at some level, the mobile application becomes, the first very intimate contact point of all of your stakeholders, whether they're, customers or other businesses, in your enterprise. And so the mobile application almost becomes, a representative of your brand at some level.
And actually, when you look globally at what we call mobile first, it's different in every region. So in certain parts of Asia, mobile first is actually a lot more prominent than it is even in the US. So there are cultural differences between users where mobile first matters in a different way. So it's important to understand your audience and where they are and how they engage with technology to better suit how you should make them sticky for your brand, sticky for your app.
And I'd add to that. I mean, there are certain verticals where mobile first has almost become the only way to do business, right? I mean, if you are in gaming, if you are in social, if you're in media today, mobile happens to be your consumption platform today. I'd say some of the other verticals, like let's say e-commerce and financial services, banking for that matter, or travel, mobile is yet another channel, not very different from the web channel. Mobile obviously is getting a lot more traction there, but mobile is used as much as perhaps the web channel in some of these other verticals. But today, if you are in the social world, there is my wife. Mobile is everything for her. I mean, she gets up in the morning, not like you, John. She picks up her tablet and she is Facebooking away to glory. I mean, so that's the only way of engagement that she knows with a mobile channel today.
And just to kind of take that back to the kind of enterprise level then, what's important here is a term which I was introduced to a couple of years ago. Everyone talks about, you need to collaborate with your kind of users, make sure you understand those consumers, those customers. Actually, for mobile, it's taking it one step further. There's this notion of co-creation. Mm-hmm. So co-creation is actually getting your most, loyal customers, the ones who you kind of really value, to be involved in the kind of the strategy of developing kind of mobile apps. So get them involved in the early concept stages, the design stages. Listen to them, understand their pain points, understand those friction points, because ultimately mobile has to kind of solve that. It has to solve those kind of pain points. It has to enhance experience. And that's what's key. So again, going back to that notion which we talked about right at the start, it's about mobile first, but get your customers involved. Because the only way you're going to have a successful mobile app is to engage with those customers and to delight them. Ultimately, it's about delight.
Yeah, that reminds me just quickly of a project I was involved in when I was at Sony Ericsson, where we worked with a bunch of big brands where they could make content that was related to their brand available to their users so that people could, personalize and customize their devices with brand content from the brands that they, had a level of identification with. And, I was amazed at the data that came out of that in terms of how avidly people really identify with their brands and want to make that brand, a part of their everyday life and a part of their mobile experience, which is, one of the things that's central to, increasingly central, as you've all pointed out, to their, whole activity throughout the day.
Right. And I think, Peter, I agree with you a lot. I mean, this notion of iteration and, building a mobile app, right? I mean, not only happens in the design stage, it happens in the development stage, it happens in the release stage, and it's pretty amazing how mobile has sort of transformed the way software is built and released and, put out to the production environment and to consumers like you and I.